into this career, not knowing what I was doing. But now that I've gone into my ESL courses, I have yet again no clue. I have to find out more. After hours of studying, I knew what I had to do. I had to talk to a professional. Let's do this. You didn't actually think I was going to record in a classroom, right? Of course not. I already did the interview. Today, I spoke with Miss Chatelain at Gretna Middle School, and let me just say, it was an amazing experience, and I'm proud to be working there. The classroom community at Gretna Middle School is palpable. Students feel supported, they feel seen and heard, and it's just amazing to watch these teachers in action every single day. Miss Chatelain specifically was astounding. When I walked into her classroom, I wasn't sure what to expect because I had never been in an ESL classroom personally. However, throughout the interview, I noticed that there were students who would stop by who weren't even in her classes to ask her how her day was, get help on homework, anything that they could do. Mrs. Chatelain's journey started out in journalism, and she spent a lot of her time in Washington, D.C., sending back documents to the Nebraska State Senator. However, during her time in D.C., she noticed that a lot of the articles she was sending back were talking about refugee and immigrant issues, and she decided that she wanted to do a little bit more to help. At that exact same time, her husband got a job as an ELL teacher at Gretna, and she decided that she wanted to get in on it. So she got her degree in secondary bilingual studies and later completed a letters program at Doane, which increased her knowledge on literacy for specifically ELL students. And so in 2008, she began teaching in OPS and later moved on to several different institutions, such as high schools, middle schools, and even on some collegiate levels, working with adults who were ELL. Throughout the interview, she continued telling me that her motivation was her students. They were awesome and fun is what she told me, and that she loved giving that passion for learning to her students throughout her course. For my interview, I sat through a reading and writing class, and I noticed that the class size was significantly smaller than any classroom I had ever been in before. There were only 3 students, and when I asked her about this, she said she enjoyed it. It lightened her workload, it made the classroom more comfortable, students felt more like a family with each other, and they felt more seen and supported than in a larger classroom with 20 plus students. When I asked her for advice for my fellow students, she said, remember your why. Remember why you chose this career. It's to help the kids, not yourself. In her current school, Gretna Middle, she has seen a significant shift in the growth of the ELL program, from one multilingual family to over 20 languages spoken at Gretna Middle in just a decade. Teachers maintain high standards, engage in problem-solving conversations, and work to affirm students' identities, even decorating for Ramadan and creating welcoming and safe spaces aligned with their students' cultural needs. For curriculum, Gretna uses incredibly culturally and linguistically responsive resources such as National Geographic and Lift Fundamentals, materials that help students grow both academically and linguistically. And when those materials fall short, Ms. Chatelain supplements with literacy foundations and bilingual books to support her students' representation and needs. On the day that I went in for my interview, Gretna was doing their MAPS testing, and when I asked her about accommodations for students, she told me this. For MAPS testing and NSCAS, they get text-to-speech and a bilingual dictionary, both of which don't really help because the translations can be off and they could be confused when the answer that they see on the page doesn't translate into what they're reading. However, assessment goes far beyond a single standardized test. While things like the ELPA are required, Ms. Chatelain uses bilingual books, programs to communicate with parents, and so many other things in her classroom to ensure that her students feel safe, seen, and respected. Outside of the school, Ms. Chatelain ensures that her school is meeting the needs of her students and families with things like Shop with a Sheriff that includes gift cards for students and families to pay their rent or buy groceries that week. They also have a backpack program to ensure that every student has a backpack to carry around their books, notebooks, pens, pencils, whatever they may need. In the end, Ms. Chatelain believes firmly in her students and in the power of equity-driven education. Her work reminds us that teaching multilingual learners is not just about language. It's about community, dignity, and honoring every student's story.